Hello everyone, my name is Sakuma Rai. I work on demand-side governance at Governance Global Practice. So I would like to focus on citizen engagement through data on my presentation. I'm very much aware that India is the birthplace of a lot of citizen engagement tools that we use in a lot of the projects around the world, and everyone is the expert on this regard. So I hope I'll be able to add something a bit more through my presentation. So this is not something new, but I wanted to bring this up just in case. So a lot of my colleagues have already talked about the economic benefit of open data and so forth, but I want to focus on the benefit from the governance lens. So closing the feedback loop through open data. Open data provides opportunities and means for government to engage with citizens, its people, beneficiary of the project, and other stakeholders in transformative manners that we never could see in the past. One is more inclusive decision-making process. Two, provide better and more effective services. And third, to achieve good governance. All these have already been covered, but I just wanted to bring this up along with this diagram. Feedback loop we have. So usually when we talk about feedback loop, it's government disclosing information to the citizens or its people, and the citizens or its people to give feedback to the government. It can be, it's a bit too small to see, but there are two arrows. One is 2A and 2B. 2A is solicit feedback, 2B is continuous feedback. For example, solicit feedback can be citizen audit. It can be done in systematic manner over time, but it's not continuous. But the other method of collecting citizen feedback is continuous, for example, through grievance redress. If there is any information request or grievances people have, people can continuously come back. It's not annual or biannual manner, it's continuous. And third step, this is the most important step, is number 3, the arrow coming from the government to citizens back. It's for the government or service providers to take actions and communicate their actions back to the citizens so they are aware of what's going on. Through the project in Andhra Pradesh and Telangana, there already been a lot of citizen engagement taking place. Through citizen engagement, government collects a lot of data, but that data can also be it's not only for the publicizing the data, but data can also be used as a source for further citizen engagement. A lot of colleagues thus far talked about opening data. It's not the entire job. It's just the first step. It's opening data for what, to achieve what purpose, and using data for achieving further results on the ground, in this case achieving poverty reduction in the rural space. So what I wanted to bring out through this presentation is that, so in a way, the citizen feedback loop is done through first initial layer of citizen engagement through the project. But through the project, there already are a lot of data collected. And that data can be used for another cycle of citizen engagement to further enhance the results. For example, by disclosing data collected from citizens, you can further enhance communications. Why something is happening in one area, why something is working better in one area than what's not working in another area. Those kind of things can be brought up. So through this slide, I want to focus on 2 steps of how open data can be utilized for further second layer of citizen engagement. So as I already said, taking greater transparency achieved by open data to social accountability and further stakeholder participation to achieve better results in service provision. How? One is disclosing the data, following the data standards, so allowing data users It can be anyone, IT firms, entrepreneurs, service providers, academia. It could be the civil society at large. It could be just us, to use and reuse data to develop open data solutions that our colleagues already talked about. And the number 2 steps is that sharing data in a way the general public can understand as information. It's just not the numbers. It can be generated as information and ask for their feedback, the second round of feedback based on your data. So that engagement could also enhance the data quality. Citizens in general can verify the data you already have collected through the project and could incorporate that feedback on the data into the project arrangement and decision making. This process is taking place. In my opinion, it's very relatively new idea to take the citizen engagement through open data. I've seen some examples from Dominican Republic and Kenya, for example, and a lot of examples are coming out from Peru, Ecuador, Indonesia, Philippines, Papua New Guinea, Myanmar is coming up as well. But this is where I believe a lot of innovation can still take place. This is relatively new idea in governance arena to use data for further citizen feedback. It's taking place, but we don't know what's the best solution to engage citizens by using the data to improve the service further. So I believe the upcoming project has tremendous opportunity to take the second layer of citizen engagement through data and find out how citizens can participate in improving results achieved through data. I would like to stop here.
Some questions from Delhi also.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for joining us today in this very discussion on this very innovative and interesting topic. As my colleagues mentioned, the bank first started on open data in 2010. We have completed our own, we've opened our own data, and now we've started with in countries. So we are sharing our experience, and we are also building partnerships with other countries who have the expertise and experience. And we are offering that. And India, we feel, is ready in terms of what Andrew Morning mentioned, the readiness filters. And India is really ready to. And this is, if you see the Prime Minister's new website, there are only 6 things on this, 6 links on this website. And out of these 6 links, one is the India's Open Data Initiative platform. So that is the level of importance which the government of India is now giving. We have been discussing with Wikipedia on the Open Data Initiative for quite some time now, and we are trying to support and discuss the initiative at 3 levels. One is at the Planning Commission with the top government of India in terms of opening it up at the highest level. The 2 is at the state level, which is what we are doing today. And the 3rd would be at the sector level and looking at what are the specific data sets which are important that you. There are huge data sets in every sector, so we'll have to identify which are valuable data sets. So a systematic, structured approach to open data will require addressing it at all 3 levels. Open data, the concept itself, as Mr. Jagi was just mentioning, we've been doing a lot of work in e-governance, we are doing a lot of investments. I was the one who was, we were leading a team of supporting the National E-Governance Program. But if you see, there are 2 main assumptions which are being challenged by open data. One is that e-governance investments and initiatives are improving the system of governance and the government agencies only. And that is a big assumption which we make on our e-governance initiatives. And the second assumption which it challenges is that all the challenges of governance service delivery, everything has to be taken on and by the government agencies itself. And the first one is the investments which we are putting in ICT. The way Mr. Jajoo just showed, actually this entire investment in information coming from these investments can be opened up and shared with the public, with the business, with the civil society organization. So it's the investment which is for use for everybody, not only for government agencies. And the second challenge, assumption which is challenging is that we don't have to, as a government agency, I don't have to solve every problem in this world or in this sector of this country or in my state. I can build partnerships, and for that I will do data classroom. Invite private partners, I'll have to invite civil society organizations. So we can all work together, provided we all share data, we share challenges, and we develop solutions. I will not go into all this because Mr. Satyanarayana made an excellent presentation in the morning, and the platform is already ready. What I just like to share is that if you see some of the analysis of the sectors, you will see that bulk of the data sets available on the current data.gov.in website is in the 3-4 sectors only. So we need to work on a sector approach. And today we are discussing rural development, which is one of the most important sectors for the country. If you look at these are some of the websites which analyze where countries are. And if you see, United Kingdom and United States are on the top of the list. And we have started our almost 2 years ago in 2012. We are still on the very low on the score of only 215 as against 940 for US. So these are sites which are analyzing how open we are in our data. Another one is on Open Data Barometer, and I'm just comparing two states. United States is on one side with the second rank, and China is on the other side with 61. And these are the dimensions on which we have opened. And if you see India, most of the data which has been opened, I don't think you can see, but it is on census and climate and environment. And on other sectors, we haven't really opened. We are much closer to China in terms of opening up of data rather than with the United States or UK. So quickly on the offering and the proposition on open data, we are here, and the team which Oleg mentioned is here to help. We can provide expertise, bring experts for reviewing policy documents, formulating recommendations. We can do benefit and readiness assessments to prioritize which areas we should focus on, help on training and awareness, building campaigns, facilitate uploading of data sets on the national platform. We've had discussions with Satyanarayana ji and NIC, and they've agreed to offer the national platform as a separate instance to the states. So without any additional cost, we can quickly move on to creating our own instance for the state. Connecting our Indian clients, officials, senior people who are working on the open data state with people in the same sector across the globe so that we can share experience and knowledge. And finally, facilitate both the two states to take the global leadership and the national leadership on moving ahead on open data and development. So there are three key areas we look at in terms of these when we look at open data solutions. Look at these three big pillars. How can we involve citizens, civil societies, our participatory decision-making process? How can we take citizen feedback, raise the voice of the citizens, and involve the community? And the third is the monitoring of projects. And
those numbers, we'd be happy to share those numbers. So it's small, but it's growing and it's real. There's also journalists, for instance, data literacy, we heard about just a while ago. Journalists are beginning to use open data more and more. Many of you actually organize boot camps. We've been part of boot camps, including in Hyderabad already. Indian School of Business, for instance, is a pioneer in this space. So lots of things happening in that area also. So yes, early days, but real examples of using India and the science are very positive. So while those numbers people know, the reality is that those numbers can only grow bigger. The national numbers tend to be low because the data often is at a very high level. But as data like yours starts coming in, local, state level data, that's actually more meaningful for people. And you'll see those numbers actually go up. The last point I wanted to make was the ecosystem. We keep coming back to this idea through the day today, through the session today. Parmesh talked about it, Sanjay talked about it, all the speakers have talked about it, right? It's critical that you bring a variety of actors into play. So you go, the state can be a player, but non-state players are critical. Investors are critical, innovators are critical. The SAFE program actually has done a very good job sort of beginning to form that ecosystem. But in India, we're seeing lots of examples focused on agriculture already. So the two examples, Innovation Alchemy, for instance, has already funded a company around the cotton value chain, right? So they sort of worked in, I think it's in Punjab, I could be wrong, but around the cotton value chains, they sort of connected producers with market forces. And it's a pretty successful example. They are quite proud about it. On the right, IIT has this innovation, and I think that's in Chennai, if I'm not mistaken, has an incubator already in place. One of their focus areas is agriculture, and they're already sort of supporting companies and building technologies that can actually help you create services aimed at farmers. And they're connecting the technology that they create with innovators and connecting with investors. So lots of action already. And a lot of this is probably worth bringing into projects we're doing in Andhra Pradesh at this point. Plus the examples beyond that in the afternoon in the panel discussion. We hear about other people also working in this space. I'm going to actually wrap up very quickly with this last slide by just sort of re-emphasizing some of the points that have been made already, right? Open data is not about data, right? It's about the business problem you're trying to solve. So always focus on that. Don't focus on the supply side, right? And we think about the problem itself. The good thing about data is actually opening up new avenues always at this point. So many industries are being reshaped at this point. So it's actually a real opportunity for us to do things that have not been done before. The amount of data out there is so large, and the tools to make sense of the data are so cheap right now that we can do a lot. Sanjay talked about this initiative done within a month, right? 3 or 4 years ago, you would spend years doing something like this, and probably millions of dollars on things like this. I'm so sure they spent much less than $1 million putting something like that out there. So the opportunities are immense at this point. Think about the demand side, don't just think about supply side. And also, all of us often think about data merely as publishers. So I'm the government, I'm going to put data out there and someone's going to make use of it. But think about yourself as consumers of data also. There's a huge amount of open data already out there that governments right now and other organizations can use. It's not just about your data. It's about all the data out there as well. And you have to learn to combine your data with that data. That's truly where the value comes in. Right? Many examples you can go through. And the last point I wanted to make was that don't try and do everything yourself. Right? You sitting on data often have that's your core skill. But very often, lots of other skills lie outside. The private sector can build financing services, for instance. Really good ideas can come from innovators. The real skills to do many of these things, our database services tend to be really high skill. They don't often exist within organizations. You should find ways to tap into those skills. And quite often, there are lots of interesting, innovative ways of tapping into those skills, often free of cost. In the US, for instance, we work with very high-level data scientists who are very willing to work on development problems pro bono. We have to find ways of connecting people like that with people in this room who want things done. And there's a willing crowd of people out there. In universities, in places like Google, Facebook, and Microsoft, who are who are looking for opportunities to work with you. Right? So So think of it that way. Don't worry about the fact that you can't do everything yourself. Real partnership opportunities do exist, and the bank can actually sort of make some of that happen. Let me stop and leave it there. And happy to have a conversation after this over lunch. But we have a panel discussion which will sort of raise many of those issues. And then we have breakout in the afternoon, in which we really want to hear from you about the mission and opportunities. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Saki Kumagai. I work on demand-side governance at Governance Global Practice. So I would like to focus on the citizen engagement through data on my presentation. I'm very much aware that India is the birthplace of a lot of citizen engagement tools that we use in a lot of the projects around the world, and everyone is the expert on this regard. So I hope I'll be able to add something a bit more through my presentation. So this is not something new, but I wanted to bring this up just in case. So a lot of my colleagues have already talked about the economic benefits of open data and so forth, but I want to focus on the benefit from the governance lens. So closing the feedback loop through open data. Open data provides opportunities and means for government to engage with citizens, its people, beneficiary of the project, and other stakeholders in transformative manners that we never could have seen in the past.